Tonight with some answers to a question a lot of people are asking about, Doc.
No doubt about it, Karen and Devin. There are several terms that are being used in connection with this outbreak that are causing confusion. There are distinct differences between self-quarantine, a mandatory quarantine, and putting someone in isolation. Several viewers have asked, what does it mean to self-quarantine? Well, self-quarantine refers to the situation where someone is asked to stay home for a period of time, 14 days being the most common in this outbreak, to see if they develop symptoms. Now that means staying at home and not leaving unless it's for medical attention. You should also monitor your temperature and watch for other potential symptoms. The goal of a self-quarantine is to reduce the risk of that person passing the illness on if they indeed turn out to have it. Now, a self-quarantine is different from a federal quarantine order. The CDC issued those orders for the 195 American citizens that were brought back to the U.S. from Wuhan, China in January. Those Americans faced arrest if they tried to leave the quarantine facility. Another distinction, quarantines are for people who were potentially exposed to a contagious illness but are not yet sick. Isolation is used for someone who's become ill. They can either be isolated at a hospital or at home, depending on the severity of their symptoms. Now, some people have also wondered what happens if someone refuses to self-quarantine. Well, the laws vary, but the majority of states and even many local health authorities, they do have the power to enforce a quarantine.
What else can you tell us about this containment plan?
Thanks for having me, Jake. Think of it this way. We have 173 cases in the entire state, right? We have 108 in New Rochelle. New Rochelle has about 3 times the number of cases New York City does.
The synagogue is the epicenter of one of the biggest COVID-19 clusters in the U.S. The majority of cases in New York State trace to one patient who worshipped here. Starting tomorrow, the National Guard will be on the ground, cleaning public spaces and delivering food. Schools will be shut down, large gatherings banned. But there won't be military checkpoints, so people can come and go freely.
Tom Hanks, seen here doing push-ups on the Oscars red carpet, confirms he and his wife Rita Wilson are now in isolation in Australia. On Twitter, Hanks said, "We felt a bit tired, like we had colds and some body aches. As a precaution, they were tested for the coronavirus and were found to be positive."
And I find the best way to describe it is if you can imagine your body as a highway and you picture the virus as a very fast car being driven by a very bad man, imagine the damage that car could cause.